I stood by the waterfront, the early morning breeze flirting with the hem of my coat as I watched the sun rise over the city. My breath formed small clouds in the crisp air, and I felt a sense of renewal watching the day begin. It had been 4 years since my divorce was finalized, since I became just me again, not someone's wife or his shadow. I had moved to this city to escape the memories, to build something that was solely mine. My coffee shop, a quaint little place with a view of the river, was my new beginning, my sanctuary. I turned away from the water, the heels of my boots clicking against the cobblestones as I walked towards the shop. The bell above the door jingled cheerily as I entered, the smell of coffee beans and freshly baked pastries enveloping me like a warm hug. I smiled at my employees, who had become more like family. They greeted me with bright smiles and updates about their lives. This was my world now, small, safe, and decidedly mine. I was in the middle of my afternoon rush, the cafe buzzing with the chatter of the lunch crowd. I maneuvered between the tables, serving coffee and the special blueberry muffins that had become a favorite. That's when I saw him, my ex-husband, standing uncertainly at the entrance, his eyes searching the room until they found me. I felt a familiar tightness in my chest, a mixture of old hurt and unexpected anxiety. He hadn't changed much, still tall and imposing, with that same bewildered look he had when things didn't go his way. My heart raced as I approached him, my tray of coffees suddenly feeling much heavier. "Can I help you?" My voice was steady, belying the turmoil inside me. I was just passing by and saw this place. It looks nice." His voice trailed off, and he looked around awkwardly. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. "Thank you." "It's mine," I added, a little pride seeping through my carefully constructed walls. He seemed taken aback, a flicker of something like regret passing over his features. "It's really good to see you doing well," he said, almost under his breath. I just smiled, a part of me wanting to delve into that regret, another part fiercely glad to keep him at arm's length. Later that evening, after the last customer had left and my staff had gone home, I sat at one of the riverside tables, the city lights reflecting off the water creating a serene tableau. My thoughts wandered to the unexpected encounter, to the man I had once loved so deeply, now a stranger with familiar eyes. I remembered the days when I thought my happiness was tied to him, how lost I felt when he left. But as I sat there, in the peace of my own success, I realized how much I had grown. The cafe wasn't just a business, it was a testament to my resilience, to my ability to rise from the ashes of my old life and create something beautiful on my own. The reflection in the water shimmered, and I felt a deep, calming peace. I had built a life I was proud of, and no remnants of the past could take that away from me. I stood up, locking the front door of the cafe, a symbolic gesture more than anything. I was locking away the past, embracing my present, and looking forward to whatever the future held. Alone, yet not lonely, free and completely, unequivocally me. I stepped out of the lawyer's cold, sterile office into the golden hue of the afternoon sun. My senses were immediately flooded with the rich smells of street food and the distant hum of city life. I had to remind myself to breathe, to take in this new chapter that was opening before me. With each step, my boots clicked against the cobblestone street, a steady rhythm to my newfound liberation. I felt the urge to sit by the river, to watch the water carry leaves gently downstream. As I settled on a bench, the old oak tree above me sheltered me from the glare of the sun, its leaves whispering secrets in the gentle breeze. I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket, a soft, persistent pull back to reality. I hesitated, then pulled it out to see a message from an old friend, suggesting a catch-up over coffee. I smiled at the thought, typing back a quick agreement. But just as I was about to put my phone away, another message caught my eye, this one from a number I didn't recognize. "I saw your number on the community board at the cafe. I hope you don't mind, but I couldn't resist reaching out. Would you be free for dinner sometime?" The message was signed, Joshua, the guy who always seems to order the same coffee as you. I wondered about Joshua as I changed into something more comfortable for our meeting. I opted for my favorite blue dress, the one that made me feel both elegant and at ease. I glanced at myself in the mirror, noticing the way my eyes seemed to sparkle a bit more tonight. It had been a long time since I'd felt this kind of anticipation over a dinner. The restaurant was a cozy little Italian place, nestled between a bookstore and a florist, its windows fogged up from the warmth within. I stepped inside, immediately enveloped by the scent of garlic and oregano, and the soft melody of a violin playing somewhere in the background. I saw him then, Joshua, standing by the fireplace. His smile was warm, reaching his eyes as he noticed me. "Hi, I'm Joshua," he said as I approached, his hand extended. His grip was firm, confident. "I know who you order coffee after," I replied, my voice a mix of nerves and mirth. We both laughed, easing the initial awkwardness. As we took our seats, the conversation flowed surprisingly easily. I learned about his passion for photography and his little studio downtown. He listened intently as I spoke of my recent changes, my voice more assured with each word I spoke. It felt good to be heard, to be seen. After dinner, Joshua suggested a walk along the river, the same path I had wandered down earlier. I agreed, curious to see the familiar scene through his lens, both literally and figuratively. As we walked, our shoulders brushed occasionally, a thrilling, yet comforting touch. I found myself sharing more with him, my dreams, my fears, and even my newfound feelings of freedom. He shared his own stories, his laughter blending with the night air, creating a melody that resonated with my soul. We paused under the same old oak tree where I had sat earlier. The moon was just a sliver in the sky, casting a gentle light over us. Joshua turned to me, his eyes reflecting the moonlight, and took a deep breath. "I don't usually do this, but there's something about you," he began, his voice sincere. "Would you mind if I took a picture of you? Right here, under this tree?" I nodded, feeling a blush creep up my cheeks as he adjusted his camera. I stood there, the breeze playing with my hair, and for a moment, I felt timeless. When he was done, he showed me the photo, and I saw myself through his eyes, free, radiant, and utterly alive. "Thank you, Joshua," I whispered, realizing that perhaps my future held more than just freedom. Maybe, just maybe, it held new beginnings too. I watched as the small waves crested and fell on the shore, my feet planted firmly in the sand, feeling its cool granules seeping between my toes. Joshua stood beside me, his gaze lost somewhere over the ocean's horizon, and I couldn't help but wonder about the thoughts swirling behind his deep, contemplative eyes. "Do you come here often?" I asked, my voice barely above the whisper of the wind. "Every chance I get," he replied, turning to meet my eyes. "The ocean helps me think, or stops me from thinking too much. Depends on the day, I suppose." I smiled, understanding his sentiment completely. I find that it reminds me of how vast the world is, and my problems seem smaller, more manageable. Joshua nodded, his lips curving into a slight smile. "Exactly. It's the sense of perspective that helps. You know, looking at the endless water, I'm reminded that there are endless possibilities." The breeze picked up, and I shivered slightly. Without a word, Joshua removed his jacket and placed it around my shoulders. His hands lingered for a moment, warm against the chill that had nothing to do with the weather. "Thank you," I said, feeling a warmth blooming inside me that had little to do with the jacket. "Just keeping the cold at bay," he said, but his eyes held a warmth that suggested something more. I invited Joshua for coffee the following week, choosing a quaint little cafe that boasted a collection of vintage Hollywood movie posters. As I sipped on my caramel macchiato, I watched him peruse the walls with an appreciative smile. "I never took you for a movie buff," I remarked, my curiosity piqued by his interested gaze. "I'm full of surprises," he chuckled, pulling out a chair and sitting opposite me. "My grandfather used to own a small cinema. I grew up watching classics." "That sounds wonderful," I mused, imagining a younger Joshua spellbound by the flickering images of old Hollywood. "Do you have a favorite film?" "It's hard to choose, but I have a soft spot for Casablanca. There's something timeless about its story of love and sacrifice. I nodded, my mind inadvertently drawing parallels to my own life. It's a beautiful film. The ending always gets me. Joshua leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. What about you? What's your favorite? Roman holiday, I replied without hesitation. I guess I've always wanted my own adventure, my own escape into something extraordinary. He grinned. Well, life's pretty good at offering adventures when you least expect it. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself eagerly anticipating each meeting with Joshua. Whether it was a casual walk along the beach or a planned visit to a local art exhibit, each moment spent with him felt like a chapter from a book I never wanted to end. One evening, as we walked through the city park under the glow of street lamps, I felt his hand brush against mine. It wasn't the first time our hands had touched, but tonight, there was a deliberate gentleness, a questioning in his touch. I looked up at him, and he stopped walking, turning to face me. I've been thinking, he started, his voice tentative. I've really enjoyed these past months with you. And I would like to see where this could go, beyond friendship. My heart raced, and I felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. I was scared of opening my heart again, yet I couldn't deny the deep connection I felt with him. I would like that too, I admitted softly, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. His face lit up with a relieved smile, and he reached for my hand, this time with confidence. As I clasped his hand, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something beautiful. I stood there, his hand in mine, and I could feel the warmth from his touch seeping deep into my bones. The cafe around us seemed to fade into a soft blur, and the tinkling of spoons against ceramic cups felt like a distant symphony. I leaned closer to him, and our foreheads touched ever so lightly. I've always wondered, he whispered, his breath warming my face, if you ever thought of us as more than just happenstance. I chuckled softly, my heart light. I think I stopped believing in happenstance the moment I met you. His eyes searched mine, and in them, I saw a galaxy of questions and possibilities. And what do we do now? He asked, his voice a tender caress against the din of the cafe. I squeezed his hand, feeling the strength of his fingers wrapped around mine. We write our own story, one day at a time, I replied, my voice barely above a whisper, yet carrying the weight of my newfound resolve. I watched as he poured us each a glass of wine, his movements deft and sure. We were sitting in his cozy living room, the glow of the setting sun painting the walls a warm, golden hue. I took a sip, the rich flavor of the wine blossoming on my tongue, and I savored the quiet comfort of the moment. I used to dream about traveling the world, I confessed, the wine emboldening my words. I imagined exploring ancient ruins, tasting exotic foods, and waking up to new skies every day. He turned to me, his eyes alight with interest. Why didn't you? I shrugged, a wistful smile playing on my lips. Life, I guess. Responsibilities, fears, the usual anchors. He nodded, understanding, then reached across to tuck a stray lock of hair behind my ear. Maybe it's not too late, he said, his voice hopeful. Maybe we can explore some of those dreams together. The thought sent a thrill through me, and I found myself nodding, excitement bubbling up inside me. I'd like that, I said, my voice steady despite the pounding of my heart. I walked beside him, the crunch of autumn leaves under our feet punctuating the crisp evening air. We had decided to take a walk through the park, the city lights casting long shadows around us. I felt his arm brush against mine, a simple touch that sent sparks flying through my veins. I was scared, I admitted, breaking the comfortable silence. Scared to step out of the shadows of my past, scared to hope for more. He stopped, turning to face me, his eyes serious. I understand fear, he said, his voice firm. But I also believe in courage, the courage to face those fears and embrace the possibilities. I looked up at him, the sincerity in his gaze anchoring me. Do you ever wonder if we're making a mistake? He smiled, a slow, reassuring smile that seemed to light up the dim park. Every great story has its risks, he said, reaching for my hand. But I think you're worth every chance. As his fingers intertwined with mine, I felt a surge of courage pulse through me. Maybe, just maybe, stepping into the light with him might be the bravest thing I ever did. And perhaps it was exactly what I needed. I paused at the edge of the pond, the light from the lamppost reflecting off the water like scattered diamonds across a dark velvet cloth. I turned to him, my breath forming tiny clouds in the cold air. He looked at me, his eyes steady and revealing a sort of quiet strength that I had grown to depend upon. I never thought I'd find myself here, I whispered, my voice barely breaking the night's stillness. You mean here, at this pond, or here, with me? He asked, his tone tender yet teasing. Both, I admitted, feeling my cheeks warm despite the chill. I was so certain of my path, so determined never to rely on someone else again. He moved closer, his warmth radiating as he took my hands in his. I know, he said. And I never wanted to change you. I just wanted to walk with you, wherever your path might lead. I squeezed his hands, realizing that my fear of depending on someone had almost cost me this moment, this man. My heart felt heavy with old scars yet light with newfound hope. I looked up at him, courage bubbling inside me like a wellspring. Do you think we could start something new, you and I? Something real and lasting? His smile was immediate, lighting up his features. I was hoping you'd say that, he replied, his eyes glowing with the same hope that filled my voice. Just then, a gentle snow began to fall, soft flakes touching our faces and melting on our lips as we stood by the pond. The world felt hushed and expectant, as if it were holding its breath just for us. I laughed, a sound of pure joy and relief, and he joined in, his laughter mingling with mine. We'll take it one step at a time, he said as he wrapped his arms around me, together. Yes, together, I echoed, leaning into his embrace, feeling the promise of every tomorrow we might share. I woke to the soft light of dawn filtering through my curtains, the memories of last night wrapped around me like a warm blanket. I stretched, my heart feeling lighter than it had in years. I rolled over, expecting to find the bed beside me empty as it had always been, but instead, I felt his presence, peaceful and steady. I watched him for a moment, the rise and fall of his chest, the way the morning light played across his face. I reached out, tentative, tracing the line of his jaw gently with my finger. He stirred, his eyes fluttering open to meet mine. Good morning, I whispered, my heart swelling with a mix of nerves and excitement. Good morning, he replied, his voice rough with sleep but tender. Did you sleep well? Better than I have in a long time, I confessed, my smile spreading as he pulled me closer. As we lay there, the quiet moments of the morning wrapping around us, I realized that I had found something rare and precious. I had found someone who didn't need me to change but who walked beside me as I grew. I knew challenges lay ahead, but for the first time, I wasn't facing them alone. I had found my path, and it was intertwined with his, leading us forward together.